Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to my hobby blog. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited because I have finished Whole Cake Island. I've started Wano. I also finished Reverie last week. And oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be doing this video because I've been holding on to these feelings a long time about this arc. I've been getting my notes ready, making sure everything's straight. I want to make sure that I really focus on the highlights. So I will not be talking about every single event in this. I will not be talking about every character. There will be some characters I just don't mention. But that's okay, because overall this arc is one of my favorites. I don't think it's rated higher than Dressrosa for me. But I do think it's one of the best ones yet in the post-time skip arcs. But right away, in the beginning of the arc, we get our normal catching up with the rest of the world, and we're back in Alabasta, which is so much, or Alabasta, I should call it, is being shown, and Vivi is sailing out to sea, and Koza sees her off. There's a marine convoy, because she's on the way to the Reverie, to meet all of the other chiefs, and kings, and princes, and princesses, and all the different rulers, to kind of decide where the world is going from now on. And so there's a marine convoy with Hina, who is escorting Vivi. And we hear about Cobra the King, who says ever since he talked to Robin about the poneglyphs, he wants to visit the Reverie. And so he wants to ask the world government a question, and he tells Vivi that he has a long list of suitors, and she says to throw it all away. And the next setting that we go to is Logetown, which was a lot of fun. We haven't seen Logetown in a very long time. I thought that was one of my favorite very early arcs, where Luffy discovers and visits the site of Gold Roger's execution. And I just loved all of that. I loved revisiting Logetown, and we see a hotel is being made just for the Reverie, and the Holy Families are visiting. Sari walks in, and King Steri is here as well. And we get some lore that there are 50 leaders who are meeting for the Reverie. And once we finish with that, then we visit the country of Wano, which is a lot of fun because that's a pretty major arc coming up, and I'm actually 5 episodes in now. So it's already awesome. I'm loving Wano. But there's a guy there who's saying now that the war is over, because of weapons not being sold anymore, that they have to surrender. And so that faction surrenders, and I assume we're going to get a lot more details about that later. But the next setting that we catch up with is Fishman Island, the Ryukyu Kingdom. I hope I said that right. Which is beneath the red line, and Shirahoshi is there. And she's really sad because Luffy isn't back yet. He's not done with his mission. And her assistant, who has the really long mouth, and I forget his name, I'm sorry. But he's there, and he says that there's been enough petitions now on the island for Fishman Island to relocate. And so that's really exciting because that's something that they wanted to do, was come closer to the surface and not be in hiding anymore. But the next setting that we catch up with is Evil Black Drum Kingdom, which I don't think we've ever been to. Oh, no, we have. Okay, so I don't know why I put in Evil Black Drum Kingdom, but I guess it's just the Drum Kingdom, Drum Island. We visit Dalton, which was a lot of fun seeing him again, and he's trying to recruit Chopper's doctor friend, who I forgot the name of, but it's like Have a Luck or Have a Chuck or something like that. And she's really fun. I'm really happy to see her and Dalton again. And then we visit Dressrosa, where everyone else, they such as Kyros and other people, I can't remember off the top of my head. But they're talking about the Reverie as well. This is a big event coming up. And oh my gosh, I can't wait to actually see the Reverie, because the Reverie arc doesn't really tackle that. I'll get into it when I cover the video. But I'm loving. I I love the Reverie arc. I can't wait to do the video on that. But, so back on the Sunny, we see Carrot, who has revealed herself, having boarded the ship, and she's joining the crew, which I am very happy with. I love Carrot. I think she's a fantastic character. She is so fun. She's really useful, too. And we get some word that Baltiga, which is where the Revolutionary Army is in ruins, and that they had a pretty big defeat. So that's not good. And we see Sabo and Dragon in the newspaper, so that's not a good sign. And Luffy learns about Dragon being his dad, and that Blackbeard, I guess... Oh yeah, Blackbeard is the one who facilitated the defeat. And so Luffy is, has more reason to hate Blackbeard now. So that's interesting. Luffy accidentally... Oh, so Nekomamushi mentions that there's no word of capture, which is really good, because I don't want Dragon to be captured and we have to go rescue him. I want to meet him sort of in a future arc, and he helps fight, I don't know, sort of like Ace. I guess in the early arcs before he was captured and sent to Impel Down and all of that. But Luffy accidentally lights the ship on fire, which I thought was really funny. But a huge... Oh, because he left the oven on, basically. He was trying to cook, because Sanji isn't there anymore. He's in Whole Cake Island, getting ready for his wedding with Pudding. And oh my gosh, like that was so funny, because I was like, there's no takeout. Like, they can't go get takeout. Like, who's gonna cook? And in my head, it was gonna be, like, anybody else in the crew. I was not expecting Luffy to be the one to step up and cook and have the worst, like, cooking skills ever. And so that was really, really funny moment early in this arc. But we see Captain Jack at the bottom of the ocean amidst some shipwrecks. And he's a devil fruit user, which is interesting, because devil fruit users are not supposed to be able to be in the ocean. They drown instantly. But he's a fishman. So Captain Jack is a fisherman, so he's just kind of laying down there waiting to be rescued. And somewhere else, Kaido is drinking deeply and crying about losing Joker and the smile fruit users. He calls Joker weak, which is really funny. And then he tells someone in a cage, who ends up being Captain Kidd. How the hell did he get under Kaido, Emperor Kaido? I'm really curious to see what that's going on, because that's obviously Wano, because that's what Kaido is. He's in control of the island along with the Shogun. So he warns Captain Kidd about Luffy, and then we see Big Mom's ship, where Sanji is raiding with one of the pirates, Tamagoand. I think I said that right, Tamagoand. I think they just call him Tamago the rest of the arc. But he says his dad is cut off and that he only cooks for his crew. And so that's interesting. But once we finish all of that setup, then the arc truly begins for me. Because I love catching up with the rest of the world. I think it's a really fun sort of thing that happens at the beginning of every single arc. But I really love sort of that first contact, sailing into the island and just seeing what the situation is and having to adapt, and adapt the plans and all of that. And they sail in and they immediately go to this town called Chocolate Town. And all the buildings are made out of chocolate, and it just looks awesome. And Luffy and Chopper the hearts just burst out of their eyes when they come onto this island. And they end up, like, eating an entire cafe that is made of chocolate. I really, really loved the early section of this arc. This was just so much fun. And Sanji is stuck with his family this whole time getting ready for the wedding. And we get a lot of just fantastic lore drops. Everything with the Vinsmoke family is just so much fun, in my opinion. In terms of the technology and all of the different personalities, all the different sons, and also the daughter, trying to remember the name of her right now, but I have it somewhere in my notes. But it's really interesting to finally get the complete picture of Sanji's life. And oh my gosh, I feel so bad for him because he had such a fucked up childhood, and even to this day he is still tormented by his family, because in the early arcs, or in the early episodes, we get this pretty extended flashback scene exploring the background of Sanji, where he is with his mother, who is sick, and she's the only one who's even kind to him. His daughter, or his father, doesn't even recognize him as a part of the family. He locks his son up into a cage down in the deepest basements and says, like, yeah, Sanji's, he's gone now. He's gone. Don't worry about him anymore. And a year or two goes by when he's down here in these caves, and his siblings find him and they beat him up. It's like, what the fuck? I feel so bad for Sanji. Like, and the entire time, his only sort of safe place for him to go to was his cooking, because you see him in this cage and you have a few mice come in, and I was really curious about these mice because Sanji starts cooking for them. He really sort of channels all his energy and he does the one thing that he loves to do, which is cook. And his siblings relentlessly mock him for this. And it's just really awful. I think this is the most emotional backstory that we've gotten. And I think that has to do with the fact that Sanji is a main crew member. We've spent the most time with him, and this entire time, we did not know this. We knew that he was from a royal family, maybe. I think he let that slip at one point, but we never got the name Vinsmoke. And it's such a fascinating sort of thing to be happening while Whole Cake Island is going on, the Whole Cake Island arc is going on, because the main point of this arc is Sanji and Pudding getting married in order to join the fleets of Gemma 66 that is run by Captain Judge, Sanji's father, and meeting them up with Big Mom and her fleet in order to basically take over the entire North Blue. What a great plan. I really, really loved the politicking around this. I love sort of the gears turning and sort of getting all of the different agendas from all the different characters. And then you have Sanji, who just doesn't want to be a part of this, but he's going to marry, get it over with, and then go away, is sort of what his plan is. And we have this really great moment between Sanji and Luffy later, when Sanji is riding in this awesome, I guess it's a twist on the cat bus from Studio Ghibli, but it's a cat carriage that's walking the Vinsmoke family to the tea party. And Luffy finds Sanji and is like, what the hell? Like, what are you doing? Like, you are not, royalty, or you are royalty, but you don't belong with them. You belong with us, the pirates. And Sanji just straight up tells him, like, oh no, you're all low-life scum. I was only doing it just to, pass some time, whatever. Like, I don't want to be part of your crew. And, so, Luffy is just taken aback by this. And so was I. I didn't believe for a second that he truly meant those words. But I really loved sort of that really tense moment, because Luffy always has these moments with each of the crew members. He had it with Nico Robin really early on, as he tried to discover who she was and sort of, all the different plots surrounding Nico Robin and her backstory. And he also had a really hard time with Usopp back during Water 7. So that's really interesting. I'm trying to think anyone else that I think he and Zoro had a pretty big struggle connecting at first. I don't think they've had any issues since. But Luffy and the rest of the crew have always kind of butted heads at some point. It's something the captain has to deal with at some point with each crew member, because everyone has flaws, everyone has shortcomings, and it's sort of the captain's job to keep the ship running. And so I really love that it was Sanji's turn to sort of butt heads with Luffy. So I just really loved everything with Sanji this arc. I thought it was just absolutely fantastic. I loved all the emotions of it, as I've said before. I'm a lot more of an emotional guy than I am a story-driven guy. I don't really pay attention as much to overarching story. I more care about character arcs and sort of how they progress the story. And I really love that this arc was such a character-heavy arc. And we also get one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite villains, Big Mom, because we get... I think this is my favorite flashback because of the length that Oda went to. Because... And let me just make sure, because I don't want to break or be wrong about anything, but about halfway through the arc, I can't remember what episode, but we get a flashback to 63 years ago, so a long ass time ago, and Big Mom is on Elbaf, and that's really exciting because this entire arc, we hear how Big Mom has a goal of uniting all of the races of the world together, and I thought that was such a great sort of goal to have. But then I noticed that there were no giants anywhere on the island. And I was like, does she have something with the giants? And she absolutely does. So we get this flashback to Elbaf 63 years ago. And Big Mom is 5 years old. So she's in her 60s at this point, or late 50s. Or, how old is she? Okay, so she is 68 right now. I was trying to do the math in my head. But, so she's 5 years old with her parents on the island of Elbaf, and her parents are abandoning her because Big Mom was exiled because when she goes into her feeding sort of frenzies, no one can stop her. And so they're like, okay, we're just going to drop her off at Elbaf, and they can deal with her because they're really powerful people, and they know what to do, and she's really big. She's bigger than the other humans. So they take her to Elbaf, they abandon her, and she sort of just sits on her sort of rock for a long, long time because she has a big bag of food that her parents give her, and they're like, yeah, just keep eating it. Like, we'll come back with more. Like, just stay right here, we'll be back. And so she starts eating it, and she runs out, and she starts starving, and a few people find Big Mom and they say, oh my gosh, like the Holy Mother on this island will help you, like come with us. And so we get a lot of info about giant warriors rampaging across the country, and there are captains disappearing, who one of them is Dory, and we also have Brogy, who are, some of my favorite early arcs and favorite characters in the early arcs, because I love giants. It's one of my favorite races in fantasy. And I really love kind of revisiting these leaders, Dory and Brogy. It's just really funny, or really fun. And we see some giant leaders being executed. And that's when Sister Carmel, who Big Mom has a frame of at the tea party the entire time. And we sort of wonder who this is. For the longest time, I thought that was Big Mom's mom. But it ended up not being her. Mother Carmel ends up being a orphanage, owner, and she's helping raise all of these sort of misfit kids who don't fit in, normal life, whatever normal is. All these kids have been abandoned. They have been exiled in Big Mom's case, and so she joins this orphanage, and she immediately falls right in with them. Everyone becomes friends. She doesn't really have any issues. She has a lot of fun being in an area that's actually her size, because she runs around town, and she's like, oh my gosh, like all these buildings are so big. We have these really fun characters of Mountain Beard Y'all and Waterfall Beard Y'all, who are both in the 300 years, I guess, age. So that's really fun. But Big Mom is very happy at this place, and she accidentally kills a bear at some point because she sticks the bear into a cage with a wolf because they were fighting in the woods, and she's like, okay, you guys have to figure it out. I'm sticking you guys in the wolf in the cage. And it ends up that the bear kills the wolf, and Mother Carmel is just really upset by this. And so one thing I want to go back to is that Mother Carmel, when the giants were being executed, facilitated peace between the humans and the giants, because this is where Big Mom's goal of uniting all the races came from, is that it was Mother Carmel who wanted to do that, and she did do this. And so they lived many years in peace until Big Mom shows up on the island. And so Mr. Bear and Mr. Wolf are killed, which is really upsetting. The giants of Elbaf, like Lin, Charlotte, discuss how long the duel is going to be. Because we hear about a duel on the island that is sort of happening because of the winter solstice. I'm trying to find the note, but we see a really young Hajruden, which is really fun because Hajruden, if I recall, is part of Luffy's crew now. He joined in with Luffy during the Zou arc, or after, I can't remember exactly which arc, but he joins, which is really fun. Big Mom eats a lot of sweets before they go on a fast for 7 days. And about 7 days, or for about 10 days they have to fast, but 7 days in, Big Mom goes into a rampage. She can't hold on anymore, and she goes into the frenzy that we see a lot throughout the whole Cake Island arc. And when she's young, she is as destructive as she is to this day. And it's really fascinating to sort of see firsthand why the giants don't want to work with Big Mom, because she goes through a substantial amount of the island, burning it down, looking for sweets. And so as she's looking for sweets, Big Mom runs into Yol and ends up destroying him. And so Mother Carmel, in a desperate plea, uses her devil fruit powers to transform all this raging fire into a cloud, and then gives it a soul. So she's able to move souls through different bodies and all this stuff. This is her devil fruit power. And during this time, back in current day, we see these two clouds by the name of Prometheus and and Zeus. Prometheus and Zeus. And Prometheus is the fire one, it's the sun, and Zeus is the storm cloud. And I love these characters, I love these entities, they are so fun. And it was really fun to see the creation of Prometheus. I just thought that was really cool. Yal goes in to stab sleeping Big Mom, but Carmel steps in front of her and says no. Yal lets them go, and Hajruden is really angry about this because Big Mom should have been punished for this, for burning down a lot of the island. And so Hajruden just immediately is angry. Big Mom doesn't know how Waterfall Beard died, even though she's the one who killed him. So that's really, really kind of messed up. That's a really hard moment, and it's only the beginning. It's really interesting, the links that Oda went coming up here. But Carmel ends up creating, or going to a new island with the rest of the Sheep's House crew. And they build a giant home. And it's just this wonderful home. It's just them on the island. They're able to get food. They're able to just sustain themselves. They're self-sufficient. The world government shows up, and it ends up that Carmel is working with the world government, which was not something I saw coming. I thought that was just a really interesting turn for the character, and I thought it was really cool that Oda always sort of has like a flaw for every single character, and this one is a pretty big flaw, working with the world government, because she talks about leaving Elbaf in order to keep Big Mom in custody. This is sort of like a thing that they're really trying to do, is keep their eyes on Big Mom, because she is such a powerful person in terms of just her size and her strength, let alone not having any devil fruit powers at this time. And it's revealed that she's been in the kid trafficking business for 50 years, and she sells a group of kids every 2 years. And so this is just really nasty work. Her official title, which is really ridiculous, sort of just how evil sounding it is, but her title is Orphan Seller. I just thought that was really ridiculous, just sort of how evil sort of Mother Carmel ended up being. But the world government leaves, and Mother Carmel and the kids sing a new version of Binks's Brew, which I really enjoyed. I love that song. It's in my playlist. I love just listening to it. I love listening to new versions of it as the show goes on. This is like the third version that we've gotten at this point. But they celebrate Big Mom's 6th birthday and make a big croque bruche, or croquembouche. I am probably butchering that pronunciation. But that's sort of the big sweet cake that we see in the current day that Big Mom is just so excited to eat. And that will come into a thing later. But one day, while the tea party is going on, everyone just disappeared suddenly. We kind of fade into Big Mom sitting alone. And she's like, hey, where's everyone? Like, what's going on? And so she freaks out and she shrieks, which brings us back to the present. And that's sort of the last that we see of Big Mom in the flashbacks, but we see, before the episode ends, we get a flashback of 2 witnesses who saw what happened. And one is a random giant, and the other one is Streusen, who ends up being the cook for Big Mom, and he's the one who creates the cakes for Big Mom, creates the wedding cake, all of that. He's a really fun character with a really fun devil fruit, where he is able to create food from anything. So he offers to help her since he can make all the food that she wants. But one thing that is never really answered, but my theory seems pretty much confirmed at this point, but Big Mom, after this disappearance happens, is able to use the devil fruit powers of Mother Carmel. How is that happening? There's only one way for this to happen, which is to eat the devil fruit. But how do you get the devil fruit powers of someone who's already a devil fruit user? We saw Blackbeard do it somehow. He may have eaten Whitebeard. I don't know. I don't think that's what happened. But I do think that is what happened to Mother Carmel. I think, and the rest of the kids, because I have a feeling that Big Mom ate her entire croquembouche and was still wanting more. And no one was able to provide that, and she went into the frenzy, immediately ate Mother Carmel, because Mother Carmel is a powerful devil fruit user, so she was able to absorb the devil fruit powers of Mother Carmel. And then we get the disappearance of the rest of the people. So what happened to them? I assume that she ate them. And I think that is such a terrifying and just really dark thing to have in the series. And I really applaud Oda for taking that risk, because I feel like this would be a very, like, I guess, controversial moment in the series. I'm happy he didn't show her like eating them, because I think it would be a lot more controversial, but I think was supposed to connect the dots that that's what happened, because the 2 witnesses that we see, or one of the witnesses who's a giant, he's like, oh my god, like I need to go back to Elbaf and tell them what the fuck happened. And just based off of that reaction alone, I feel like he saw some cannibalism. And I just think that is such an interesting choice to make for Oda. And I kind of love it because I did not expect this series to go that route. One thing that you should know about me is that I love movies. I have movies all over the place. I love cult movies, and cannibalism is something that just isn't done that often, except in zombie movies or in the Italian cannibal genre. And it's something that I just don't see often. And it's just always gut-wrenching to me, because I think being eaten to death is a death that I don't ever want to experience. And the fact that Big Mom did that to a character that she loves so much is so heartbreaking to me, because Mother Carmel, although she was doing this really terrible thing, did take care of Big Mom and save her. And Big Mom loves her for it. And Big Mom, as I said earlier, she didn't know that she killed Waterfall Beard. And so she doesn't know what happened to the rest of them. So I got to connect the dots and say that she killed them. And then my brain started going, how did she get the devil fruit powers? And that's when I made the connection that she ate everybody. And I was like, wow. I was like, I still think about that. It really affected me, sort of how far Oda is willing to go. And I love that. I love that. I love when I'm affected deeply in this way. It's just really fun. This is why I love One Piece, because it challenges me in various ways and in many different ways as well. But, oh my gosh. Let me see. So, to go back, I just love both of these backgrounds of Sanji and Big Mom. This was sort of my favorite moments throughout the arc, and as well as the tea party scene. But before we get to that, let me see. So they get on Chocolate Town, and we are introduced to this character of Captain Judge. Or, not Captain Judge, but we're introduced to a new Tot ship that has a small figurehead, and it ends up being a part of Gemma 66. And the captain looks a lot like Sanji, but it ends up being his brother, whose name is Yanji, and it's a younger brother, so that's interesting. And elsewhere, Luffy is dying of poison somehow. It's from the fish that he ate. And we have a random woman with a butterfly wings. She looks like Mothra from the Godzilla movies. I love Mothra. But she flies in on her butterfly wings and immediately eats or sucks all of the poison out of Luffy through a kiss. And I just love that. It's really sort of like a not Alice in Wonderland, but Snow White. It's like a very Snow White sort of moment, but it's reversed. I love that. And it ends up being this woman named Reiju, who is the older sister of Sanji. And she is poison-based. That's her devil fruit power, so she's able to eat the poison, and she's like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite poison, because it tastes the best. And I love that. I just thought that was really funny. But Peckham's is here, and he tells Luffy and the rest of the crew about how there's 34 islands on Whole Cake, I guess, archipelago. But the island is actually called Tado. And every island of the 34 islands has a minister. And there's like ministers of like chocolate. There's a minister of, mochi and, all these different foods. And Pudding actually brings Luffy and Chopper to a house. And she serves them chocolate desserts, and he introduces himself. And Peckham's mentions Big Mom's dream of reuniting all the realms, or the races, in order to live peacefully together. And we get a really, really fun musical, sort of at the first appearance of Big Mom at the tea party. And I just love this musical. I'm a big music guy. I love when One Piece goes musical. But Big Mom says that she marries off kids in order to strengthen crews. She has 39 daughters and 46 sons. And Pudding has only met Sanji once, and he rejected her, which is really interesting. She actually provides Luffy and Chopper with a big old map about how to get to Big Mom, which only the siblings know about, which is really interesting. I love that. I love that she's helping them. The party itself, as I said, it's one of the highlights of this arc. It's filmed to the brim with many awesome moments, such as when Big Mom first rampages, and Jinbei just rides in on the river in a really awesome moment with a croquembouche and just kind of shoves it in her mouth. And she immediately calms down, and Big Mom thanks him for bringing a road poneglyph, which is the one from Zou, which is really interesting. Why did he do that? And Jinbei says that he's only here to tell her that he's basically, wanting to leave the crew. And she asks him if he will. And we get a flashback during this scene of Jinbei with an introduction of Aladdin, who is married to Big Mom's daughter, Praline. I hope I said that right. But Aladdin tells Jinbei to basically live for himself since he succeeded in furthering Fishman's social status after Fishman Island arc. And Big Mom and Jinbei discuss him leaving, and she tells him to spin the Wheel of Death, which is a really interesting object that she has. And Pedro... that's one moment I need to talk about that I forgot to note in my notes. But Pedro gives some background about himself being an explorer, and about how he's following Peckham's halfway to his goal, and looking for the poneglyphs or Master Cat Viper and Inuashi. And he's been defeated on this island before, and says that Goldie Roger has seen the road glyph 26 years ago, which reminds Inuashi and Neko of Luffy, which he reveals Big Mom has the poneglyph, and that he can get it while Luffy and everyone else get Sanji. So Pedro, let me talk about Pedro for a second. So Pedro is, the cheetah guy. He's a really cool character. He's like a swordsman. I loved him in the last arc. I just really gassed him up. I just love Pedro. He's just really cool. And I just have to say, one of the two characters that I did not like in this arc was Perry Sparrow and Boulay. I did not like them. I thought they sucked. I thought they were very uninteresting. The Devil Fruit powers are fun, but I don't like them as characters. I really did not like that about sometime during the after the tea party, Pedro is fighting Perry Sparrow. And Pedro reveals that he has a ton of explosives strapped to himself, and that he has been planning to sacrifice himself for everybody else in order to save the day. Now, I am totally okay with him doing this. What I'm not okay with is him doing all of that and having this really great emotional moment, and nothing happens to Perry Sparrow. He just gets back up. And I'm like, I love Pedro. I understand Oda. He can't have a million characters. Death has to happen. But I was very upset by this. I think I will knock it down a star just for that. Maybe half a star. But this was a moment I did not like. It's one of the few moments that I did not like in the series. Or in this arc. But, yeah. Just want to mention that. I don't want to linger too long. But, Brooke, in a very, very funny moment, during the tea party, sort of possesses like a toy soldier doll thing. And he just walks up to the frame because they're talking about breaking the frame in order to make Big Mom go into a frenzy, which will make her injure herself by falling on the ground and skinning her knee. And then Beige is going to take his rocket launchers and his crew and shoot the rockets at Big Mom and kill her. It's a great plan. Good kind of plans that they made. And during this time, Luffy bursts out of the cake, and it's a lot of fun. But let me see. But I really love the moment when Brooke possesses this doll and he just walks up, like, waddles up with a, like, baton, just bonk, just breaks the frame, and everyone just sort of, like, freezes and looks off, and they're like, oh, shit. And then they burst out of the cake, and it stops her frenzy, because she's so mad that they destroyed the cake that she wants to kill them now. And so, cue 20 episodes, roughly. I'm maybe exaggerating a bit, but it felt like a million episodes of her chasing everybody in a frenzy, trying to get them. And it's fun. I enjoy it. It went on a little too long, but yeah. I've already talked about Sanji and his backstory, but I do want to highlight one of the coolest fucking moments in this arc, if not the series, which is the transformation of the Vinsmoke's family into like a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers crew. And it's just awesome. I loved it. I absolutely loved the animation during the scene. I really enjoyed the art style. I love the colors of it. Like, it was just very vibrant. It just reminded me of watching Power Rangers back when I was a kid. And they just completely are badass. They end up helping Sanji by the end. Judge still will not sort of acknowledge Sanji, and Sanji tells Judge, like, I don't want to see you again. Like, we're done. I'm never seeing you again. Like, fuck you. And I'm really happy that Sanji put that line down between him and his father, because, like, hey, let's close the loops that we can and move on. Because there's no reason for him to waste time with his family, especially his father. Because, oh my gosh. But, I'm just scanning the notes, seeing if there's anything else. Oh, let me mention the best fight of the series. Well, top 3, I would say. The fight between Luffy and Katakuri in the mirror world. Oh my god. I loved it. I was on the edge of my seat every single second of it. I loved the Katakuri's entire thing, where he's like, I will not, be put on my back. I will always, be standing. No one has ever seen me on my back. It's a very vulnerable position. And we get a really funny scene later where Brûlé reveals that she's been watching Katakuri this entire time, while he goes into his private tent and eats all the chocolates and sweets that he wants, because he has a big old mouth and it's awesome. And he has the mochi mochi fruit, which is really powerful. And Luffy continues to use his very smart plan of just eating the fruit in order to defeat Katakuri. And it's a really tough fight. It's like a 3-episode fight, I want to say. And oh my god, it's fantastic. Luffy goes gear 4 many times. They both use Haki. Luffy slowly destroys every single mirror, because Katakuri and Brûlé earlier in the arc are shooting fiery arrows at the Sunny through the mirrors on the Sunny. So it's just this entire thing. And so Luffy is like, okay, breaking every single mirror that he can while fighting Katakuri. And oh my god, I fucking love it. I love this fight. It's one of my favorites. I love the Doflamingo fight between Luffy and him, but it's another step. But I just love it. I just want to shout out 2 really cool characters, which is King Bomb. He has this really big, wicked tree that helps everybody. And it has a girlfriend, which is really fun, or a wife, and they sing to each other. It's really cute. I also want to shout out Beige, because he is such an interesting character this arc. Because I thought he was a little bit of a main guy at the end of Zoe, when he shot somebody. I can't remember. I see the person in my head, but I can't say the name. But I just really enjoyed Beige's part in this arc, because he's always helping Luffy and Sanji, and sort of uses his castle fruit to constantly kind of help people and bring them into his body, into his castle. And he ends up turning into this giant castle ship and turns into many different cannons and shooting at, Big Mom and everyone. It's so much fun. I just really love this arc. I don't think it's top 3, but I do think it is top 5. I just love it. I will have to, after doing this video, sit down and look at my rankings again. I don't want to show them yet. I want to wait till I finish Egghead before I go into my ranking video. But I really enjoyed this arc. I think the rating has to be like a 9 out of 10. But at the same time, Pedro was killed for no reason at all. And so I don't want to give it an 8.5 because there's so much awesome stuff in this arc. But I do want to say that that's a big anchor to my enjoyment of this arc, which is Pedro and his death. But my gosh, I'm trying to see the time. I think I've been going on for 45 minutes. My glasses suck this distance. But thank you all so much for watching this. I will try to get Reverie out much sooner because it's only 6 episodes, or 3 episodes, I believe. So it's not many notes to go through, and I will just read them through and give my reactions, because one of the coolest fucking characters have been introduced in the final few minutes of Reverie, and I'm so excited to talk about them. Thank you all so much again for watching, and please have a great rest of the day.